The attribute mapping tool can be used to directly map textures to 3D objects. With any 3D object, you can apply a texture through the Render tab of the Object Info palette. When you have the object selected, this tab will display controls to assign the texture and to adjust how it is mapped. Some objects will have certain parts, which gives you the ability to map textures specifically to each part. Depending on your mapping type, you can use the attribute mapping tool to adjust the texture mapping directly in the drawing. The attribute mapping tool can be found in the basic palette. When the attribute mapping tool is selected, you will notice several icons for the tool in the toolbar. The first set of icons determines how the texture is displayed while you are mapping. Non-repeating mode will display a single repetition of the texture on the screen. This may make it easier to edit, especially on large objects. Original repeat mode will repeat the image using the pattern of the original texture. The second set of modes determines how the texture will be scaled when you resize it. Scale rotate by corner allows for resizing or rotating textures based on the handle opposite the one that was clicked on. Scale rotate by center mode will resize or rotate the texture about its center. You will also see a part menu that will allow you to select the specific part of the object to be edited. This is common for objects like walls and roofs. To edit the texture mapping directly, select a textured 3D object. Now click on the attribute mapping tool. Because the tool requires certain mapping types, you may be prompted to change the map type before you continue. Only texture mapping types of sphere, cylinder, or plane can be used with this tool. If the object has parts, select the part to edit from the part menu. Choose non-repeating or original repeat mode from the toolbar, as well as a scale rotate mode. In this example, we will choose non-repeating mode and scale rotate by corner. Notice the editing frame that is placed on the object. This means you are in 2D mapping mode. To switch to a 3D mapping mode, click on one of the 3 space axes, which are red, blue, or green lines. To switch back to a 2D mapping mode, click within the editing object. The Object Info palette will display the parameters that can be edited while the attribute mapping tool is active. To move the texture in 2D mode, click inside of the editing object and drag the texture to the desired location. If you need to resize the texture, you can click on a corner handle of the editing object and drag to set the new scale. Click again to set the scale. Rotating the texture in this mode can be done by clicking on a side handle of the editing object and dragging to the new rotation. Again, click to set the new rotation. If your map type is set to plane, you can also set the texture to a face by clicking on each face of the object. To continue mapping other parts of the object, select the next part from the part menu and repeat the mapping process. If your map type is set to sphere or cylinder, you will also be able to control the radius of the texture projection in 2D mode. Click on one of the 4 radius control handles around the edge of the circle and drag to the new radius. Click once to set the new radius. In 3D mapping mode, the texture can be moved by clicking on the center, diamond-shaped handle at the origin and dragging it to the desired location. The texture plane will move with the image, allowing you to snap the image to a snap point on the object. To rotate in 3D mapping mode, click on one of the handles along the axis you want to rotate about. The rotate cursor is displayed and a preview line will indicate the rotation. Move the cursor to set the new rotation and click to set. As you can see, the attribute mapping tool gives you the ability to precisely map your RenderWorks textures to each 3D object in your drawing. This enables you to create realistic renderings and to customize your resources.